Now they say some of them infiltrate into our societies, our communities. We're looking at the Boko Haram issue plus southern Kaduna killings. Back to you, Markwe.
Well, thank you, Sulaiman. I have with me Mr. Innocent Chukwuma, who is a criminologist and regional director, Ford Foundation, West Africa. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you so much.
And it's good to see you here in our Abuja studios.
Charlie, my first time is quite a big place you have here.
Well, you have been following, this briefing that the military does, they now do on a weekly basis to update the public on, the progress they're making in the fight against Boko Haram. What do you make of the briefing?
It's actually a welcome development, and it's something quite a number of analysts have been calling over time, beginning from the inception of this crisis in 2009, when a combined police and military operations routed the stronghold of Mohammed Yusuf. The military gave their briefing that they've arrested him and handed over to the police. And then the police came and said he tried to escape. And so that gave the lesson that if the communication and public dissemination of information had been coordinated by the two agencies, perhaps it would have mitigated what we're dealing with today. So I'm quite happy that you have this combined operation, briefing the public about what is happening, and all of them are speaking with the same voice. And one must commend our military for the gallant role they have played in getting us to this state where actually Boko Haram is not holding any stronger, it's not occupying any place in the northeast. And a good attestation to that is the fact today the region is milling with all kinds of development agencies who wouldn't come in the first place if the battle was still there. So if anybody is still in doubt about the success of this operation, they should just go and see what is happening in Borno, where it's actually difficult to get a place to rent now because international development agencies, some of my colleagues have been, and some of the partners we are working with, and the report we're getting is that life has fully returned to normalcy. Property business is booming because all intervention agencies are on the ground, and they wouldn't be there if we're still dealing with the significant Boko Haram activities.
Well, the challenges remain because, yes, the military has been briefing, and now they even invite journalists to Maiduguri on a weekly basis, for this briefing. But then the challenges remain in terms of making sure that the remnants of Boko Haram who are filtering into society, are fished out. Now, according to the military, they paraded two of them yesterday. One is said to be a medical doctor, the other a logistics supplier to Boko Haram. And they said they got this with the cooperation of those whom they already have in their custody. What would you say to the public in terms of this alertness? Would you say that, are we doing well enough in terms of what you've seen so far?
In my view, we have entered a very important phase in this battle against Boko Haram and terrorism. And it's also a phase where public involvement is very important. They've been dislodged from holding territory, which means they are dispersed. And when they disperse, they travel through the length and breadth of the country, and they may also have sleeper cells across the country. So public agencies, civil society groups need to get involved now to basically educate members of the public about how to respond to this situation, how to deal with people who are not very well known in communities, even how to walk around. You go to the roads and you see all these black plastic bags, which could be, they could put some explosives in them, and you see kids going around and stepping on them, and things could happen. So in countries that have dealt with this type of situation we're dealing with, public education is very, very important. Israel comes to mind here about the level of public mobilization and involvement, because having dislodged them from territory, you can no longer use conventional ways in fighting them. It requires serious intelligence work. Our intelligence agencies have to be at their peak now, and refrain from the conventional work that the police should be allowed to do, because what will be key now is intelligence that is needed to disrupt the planning through strategic interception before they get to the stage of attack. So it's an important phase. The war is not over. A major component of it has been won, but this is where vigilance, public education, intelligence work are very, very critical if we are going to win this battle.
What agencies of government would you say should be involved in this public education?
National Orientation Agency comes to mind, Ministry of Information at the federal and state level, civil society organization, community-based organization, anybody that is involved in interacting with members of the public should get involved. Now, this is not a phase to leave it to the government or the military alone. The military has done excellently well. It is now the phase for all of us. I mean, practically all of us, from family level, the kind of information we give to our kids. There was an example that brought my attention a few days ago. A little girl, an 8-year-old girl, was seen with this a small plastic bucket filled with sachet water, what we call pure waters locally here. And she was walking towards a military checkpoint. And a gallant soldier saw her far and shouted and told her to stop, to drop what she was carrying. And luckily, she did that, and nothing happened. But when they brought their agencies that look at it, they found out that beneath the sachets of water is a 2 kg explosive device that was hidden. And when they took the girl and asked her how did she said that somebody there gave it to her to give to the soldiers. And when they took that girl home, the mother said she just came back from a primary school. So this whole thinking that the young girls who are involved in this are maybe some people who have been indoctrinated. No, a casual person, even the hawker on the street, can be engaged. Just say, oh, take this thing to this person, and you don't know what is leading inside it. So these are the kind of education we need to give to because anybody can be used for this, because we're a trusting people, especially in rural communities where, the fear of the stranger is not that high. So people need to be very, very circumspect now in who we accept things to hand over to another person. You could very well be carrying an explosive device.
It definitely raises two questions, in terms of, you've raised the first one about education, people need to be enlightened. But then, what more can we really do? When we look at the number of incidences we've had since Sambisa was taken over, in terms of the number of suicide bombers who, in many instances, have failed, they only end up killing themselves. But when you also look at some people who were killed recently and the methods that were used, we understand that